Welcome to The Leftovers. I'm Rachel Bell. The Leftovers is audio left on the cutting room floor from last week's Your Last Meal interview. And today you'll hear never before heard cuts from Tilly Ramsay, host of the new Amazon Prime show, Dish It Out. Tilly is Gordon Ramsay's daughter, and this is not her first rodeo. She hosted 5 seasons of Matilda and the Ramsay Bunch, a British kids' food show, starting when she was 13 years old. And she's been a guest on many of her dad's programs. I have to ask you this question. You know, your dad has a reputation on his shows for yelling a lot. Does that reflect what he's like at home? Is that something that you grew up with?
No, honestly, not at all. At home, he's literally like a giant teddy bear. Him and I are like, Mum calls me the female version of him. So I think it's a good thing, but we get on so well. And I've always felt very lucky to get to work with my dad. I think that's a really cool thing to be able to say. But there's something quite special about driving to and from work together. I always love it.
We talk about culinary school because she just recently graduated, how important a Sunday roast is to British culture. And if you haven't listened to this episode, I recommend going back and doing so before listening to this one. But if you're all caught up, let's get into The Leftovers with Tilly Ramsay. I want to do a speed round with you before I let you go. Question number 1. I read that you and your dad actually have the same birthday. What is your perfect ideal birthday cake? Or if you're not a cake person, birthday dessert?
I honestly think my ideal birthday cake is an ice cream cake because I'm not necessarily a cake person, but I love ice cream. But I do love being able to like blow out candles on a cake. So it works perfectly.
What kind of ice cream?
My favorite is mint chocolate chip. But I'm getting my palate's maturing and I'm trying like coffee and all that kind of thing nowadays.
Do you have a signature dish, like if you're having people over for dinner, that you feel confident in making?
I love cooking for my friends. A homemade Caesar salad, so making the dressing myself with like homemade croutons. And then I love a roast chicken I do like a chickpea and chorizo stuffing that I think I actually did steal from my dad, that recipe, but I've adapted it slightly to my own. And then with some like garlic smashed potatoes on the side.
That sounds amazing. And so wait, with the chickpeas and the chorizo, you said it's a stuffing. So do you put that in the chicken when it's roasting?
Inside the chicken. And then also with some red onion, like outside the chicken whilst it's roasting. And then you put it all together in a bowl and serve it alongside your carved chicken. And it's just like that perfect, like little bit extra.
That sounds so good. Growing up with a famous dad for a chef, and your mom is a cookbook author, is that right?
Yes.
What was eating like at home? Who was doing the cooking? And I think a lot of people have expectations that you would be eating in a very grand way, but then you also have these busy parents who are cooking for a living who might be burnt out by the time they get home. So yeah, what was family meal like?
Family meals were, people often ask like, oh, do you have like super posh food? I'm like, oh, we had bolognese last night, pasta and tomato. Like my mum would do lots of family style. I think she used to joke being like one pot because there's less washing up, but I think she was actually serious. Like it genuinely is easy. And don't get me wrong, it was all delicious, but kept it simple for school nights especially.
And did you cook when you were a kid at home?
I used to bake quite a bit with my mum. She loved baking and she'd do like the amazing little desserts when we had friends round, whether it's biscuits or cupcakes. So I'd be able to do that because that was more a weekend thing. But during the week, we were all quite busy with clubs and homework and all that stuff that I'm very grateful is over. Now I can do the dinners myself.
I read that you also published a cookbook when you were only 15, which kind of came off of the show that you were hosting. Can you tell me a little bit about the process? It was 60 recipes. What was the process like? Like, how were you involved with development and writing and all of that?
We had these 5 amazing series of the show, and each series had multiple recipes and they spanned all different like abilities, and all different things. Like one of the recipes is dog biscuits that you can make at home and that are pretty easy to do. But it was basically being able to compile everything together. And I was involved because obviously I'd cooked them all being on the show and been filmed cooking them all and trying them and tweaking it as a family. So being able to actually publish a cookbook was like a dream come true and felt pretty surreal. But, lots of the photos in the book are from filming and all that. So it was a really cool kind of compilation of the 5 years we spent working on the show.
One more question, just because you are the age that a lot of people are getting out of university and maybe living on their own for the first time and making their first kitchen, their college kitchen. What are a couple tools that you would recommend people have if they're, getting to go out and buy things to establish their first kitchen?
I think a good set of knives is really important. I mean, it doesn't have to be super expensive at all, but I think knives that are safe and can be sharpened is a really key thing. And if you could spend a little bit extra on them to make sure they're ones that are going to last, they can last you a very, very long time. So I think that's really important. I learned the importance of using wooden chopping boards if you can. They're really great, and how to clean them and like using salt on them and then oiling them. One that I think my dad probably wouldn't have agreed on with me saying, but now does after I've shown him how to use it, is an air fryer. I think that they are really great bits of equipment to have in the kitchen. They're sometimes quicker than the oven. I just think that what you can get out of it is great. Also, if you're cooking for loads of people, some stuff in the oven, some in the air fryer, pretty perfect. So I love our air fryer at home. Did take my parents a bit of convincing. They were like, but we've got an oven. I don't get it. I was like, no, just let me show you guys. Max crisp mode gets it really crispy. And I think what's also quite good is collecting stuff as you go. You don't necessarily have to kit out your kitchen, but as you're doing things, like write down like, oh, could have done with a Pyrex bowl here or needed this. It's quite good to buy as you find you need.
And that was Tilly Ramsay's Leftovers. The Leftovers and Your Last Meal are both products of Seattle's Cascade PBS. This episode was mixed and mastered by senior producer Sarah Bernard. Original theme music by Prom Queen. And in November, I have 3 fun Seattle food events, and I would love to see you there. On November 8th, I'm hosting Food Fight, and my special guests are the hosts of America's Test Kitchen, Bridget Lancaster and Julia Cullen-Davison. I was just in a planning meeting for this event yesterday with my buddy who is on the events team, Halen, and we were getting very excited about the stuff we're planning for you. Trivia, games, prizes. The prizes are really, really good. Then on November 10th, I will be a guest at the live Seattle Eats podcast taping at Town Hall with my friend, Seattle Times food writer Ton Vinh and Kenji Lopez-Alt. And last but not least, on November 15th, I'll be signing cookbooks at Gobble Up Northwest. That's at Magnuson Park, Hangar 30. It is this super cool event put on by Urban Craft Uprising. There's over 100 food, beverage, kitchenware, and decor booths. So you can grab a copy of my cookbook, Open Sesame. I will sign it for you. And then you can walk around and do some holiday shopping, eat from the food trucks. And every hour, there will be a new local cookbook author signing their cookbook. You can find a link to all of these events in the show notes, or go to my events page at hellorachelbell.com. I'm Rachel Bell, and this is The Leftovers.